Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the Pylontech and Ariya Finergy's webinar. Our webinar is about to start, and if you have any questions, you can share it in the text during the webinar. And at the end, there will be a Q&A sessions. We will focus on answering all the questions. Yeah, okay. Now, we have the start. We know the sustainability have become an increasingly important issues all over the world, and the customers in the Middle East and East Africa are looking for better the energy solutions. Today, we will show the Ariya Finergy's successful C&I product in the East Africa, and as well as more solutions that we can bring to you. Now, please allow me to introduce our today's speaker. Firstly, we have the CTO of Ariya Finergy, Ms. Chori Barry. Mr. Chori is a registered professional engineer, and he has the board experience in energy and storage and renewable energy integration, and he has implemented complex systems across the various countries in the North Africa and North America and Asia. Secondly, we have the Ariya Finergy Uganda country managers. Eric is with a background in the grid installations and maintenance, and as a certified energy manager, he has a broad knowledge of the Uganda electricity landscape. Third, we have the Pylontech technical support engineers, Mr. Chris Wu. Mr. Chris Wu is graduated from the Energy in Engineering Department of the University of the Sheffield in the UK, and focused on the design and technical support of the industry and the commercial energy storage project solutions. So our speakers, please say hi for all the audience. And then let me start about the introduction of Pylontech and Ariya Finergy, so our audience can get much more better know of us. Chris, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, nice.
So first, let me introduce the Pylontech. Pylontech is a dedicated battery energy storage system provider, considering enterprise in electrochemistry, power electronics, and system integration to deliver reliable battery energy storage solutions globally. And with our continuous and rapid growth, we have become the world leading supplier in lithium-ion batteries worldwide. So here is the milestones of Pylontech. So for our company, we founded in 2009. So until now, we already have over 15 years experience in energy storage system. So our first energy storage system deployment is in 2013. We deploy our first system in Germany and also Australia. So in 2014, we start our mass production for Europe and Australia. In 2015, we start our C&I deployment. So we build our first grid scale base deployment domestically. And in 2018, we already shipped over 1 gigawatt hour and storage system globally. In 2019, we built another 1.5 gigawatt hour annually production capacity in Hubei. And in 2020, Pylontech, we are the first listed energy storage system company in China. In 2022, we ranked as #1 residential energy storage system provider globally. And also in 2023, we built an overseas battery manufacturer factory in Italy, cooperate with our local partner. So now in China, we have 4 factories and 1 headquarter. Our company headquarter is in Shanghai, so it's our research and development center. And in Yangzhou, we have our largest cell manufacturer basement, and we have the capacity of 8.5 gigawatt hour per year. And in Anhui, we have another sales factory. So now the capacity is 5 gigawatt hour, and we have another 5 gigawatt hour building in progress. And for the module packing factories, we have the factory in Yangzhou, in Anhui, and also in Kunshan and Hubei. So now the 4 factories are can do the packaging and also do the container solutions based in China. And now, as I mentioned before, we already have the overseas company in Italy. They can also build the C&I solutions for the Europe market and also for the other overseas market. So now, apart from the sales factory and the modules factory, we also already built multiple branches, over the world. So our headquarters based in Shanghai, and now we already have many branches over the Europe, for example, the Netherlands, Germany, Spain, the UK, and also in American markets. So we have the branches in USA. And also we are building our new branches in Australia and Japan. And for the after sale use and also the pre-sale service, we have our global service centers in globally, like in the UK, Germany, Italy, North America, and South America. Also, we already have our service centers in Africa, so it's based in the South Africa.
Okay, thank you. Now, Tori, please.
Great, thanks, Chris. Good intro. So my name is Troy Berry, CTO with Ariya. I am a professional engineer, Canadian engineer, but Ariya Finergy has been running for 7 or 8 years, and I've been here in Kenya, East Africa, building this company. We've now grown to an effective 35 employees based in these 3 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. We do look at a few countries outside of that scope from these base offices. And I would say something really particular is, as we were one of just bring batteries, we actually have a very skilled engineering team that understands batteries, knows how to deploy them, knows how to maintain them. And this is a good advantage for our company. There's a photo here. I really like to start on this slide. This is a completely off-grid facility. It's also a very beautiful photo, but the thing we want to show here today is that a battery can run an entire factory. This is not news to us or our team, but we do make this known to the market that lithium batteries have a lot of power. If you range enough of them in one place, you can run very large machinery. This includes starting up large motors, especially if they have variable speed drives, but a battery can run a factory. That's the big takeaway that we want today. And if you have that takeaway that the battery can run a factory, then you're going to say, well, let's implement that, and let's consider what happens when the grid is not there, and how can a battery solve the problems of a grid coming and going and being unreliable. So that's really what we do. We are a solar PV company first. We then just go back to the last slide. Thanks, Suluk. We do solar PV. We do power stabilization. So this is offered from our company. Both of these services. 55 systems have been installed in East Africa. 20 megawatts, 15 megawatt hours. About 12 of those 55 systems are what we call power stabilization, where there is a battery as the main delivery. And then what's interesting in this, what we offer, because we're delivering batteries and power stabilization, We are not saying green credits here. We're not just saving energy costs. We're looking at these other value additions, which are bigger. So maximum uptime, increased revenue, that means factories, facilities are running more often without the grid. So they're able to produce more goods. They're able to have a more planned supply chain, more planned sales. This works better for when they, even things down to employing people. A lot of times factories use production as a way of encouraging their staff to produce more. And then when the power cuts, that employee actually takes a hit in their pay cut. So this allows the factory to produce more. It allows the employee to be paid more through a lot of the models that factories use. And this just comes into a peace of mind. It's a business continuity. Everyone in the factory knows they're going to be producing all day with a battery system. So we'll go to the next slide now. So the services that we offer, as I said before, we do solar PV. This is really well known. I think most people understand the concept of being able to produce power from the sun. What isn't involved in solar PV only is when the grid goes out, the solar PV loses its reference and the solar string inverter will turn off, and then everyone's left in the dark and the machines stop. So enter battery storage. The photo here is from one of our first site with Pylontech. This is a tea factory. An entire tea factory can run off of the batteries that you see in this picture. That's their staff and our staff together. The batteries then, when the grid goes out, depending on the arrangement of the batteries, it can seamlessly transfer over to the battery and keep all the machines running. And that's specifically what we call power stabilization. That's what we offer. It's uninterrupted. It goes from the grid to the battery and back to the grid, and even to a diesel generator. If you do happen to, your battery charge runs low, all of those transitions are seamless, and that's what really delivers the savings to the client. They don't stop, they don't lose material. They keep operating. The last point is financing. We have some financing partners, and we do allow flexibility in how we bring financing for this project to the client. So this can even be delivered at a no initial cost basis to the client. The next slide, great. So why Pylontech? So we originally chose Pylontech off of a government study that was done in Australia. And what we needed was reliability. We needed some proof of concept. And it was very useful that this external country did a study where they bought batteries from about 40 different companies and tested them all. And Pylontech showed up amongst the top two. And the other thing that was important is from the get-go, their sales team has been very supportive for us. So we understood the concept of batteries, but the specific implementation was needed to be discussed. And Pylontech has always been there for us from a customer support point of view. So they had a reliable, internationally known, reliable product. And then they had customer support. They were very willing to support companies in Africa. Sometimes you talk to a supplier and they say, well, there's not a very big market there. We're not going to spend a lot of time answering their questions, but we did not see that with Pylontech. And then the last one, scalability. So what we see in this photo is this is a rack-based system, which means that we get a base unit of about 160 kilowatt hours, and we can expand from that single rack unit and make additional racks. So at the bottom of the photo at the cable trench, you see some red and black DC cables. That shows each rack connection. So if you wanted to do a larger or smaller system, you just get more or less of these racks. That allows you to do future expansions. It allows you to understand the base product and then sell that base product to many different clients, because you just bring more of these racks if it's a larger system. So I mentioned earlier, having a trained team it wasn't easy understanding a new battery system. We did get help from Pylontech, but now that our entire team of engineers understands this product, it allows us to scale and go to not only scale within a project. You can do 1 megawatt hour, you can do 3 megawatt hour, but you can now actually sell across multiple countries because your team understands how to train additional people, additional clients on this technology. Good. So I think one thing here specifically, and we get this question a lot from clients, is what is the lifetime and how long does it last? So we have seen our longest system now has been running for 4 years. Our longest running large system has been for 3 years, and we do a capacity degradation test annually. So I think there's first off, system is reliable and it works, and that isn't the case with every battery system. Suppliers are constantly looking to cut costs. So again, picking a reliable product supplier is the most important thing. Secondly, beyond just a base function, the things that we would look for are efficiency and the degradation over time. So over 3 years, we have not seen sufficient degradation on the battery. Actually, the first 2 years we saw none. Everything's within scope. That means that the cycle count of 6,000 cycles is on track to be met. I think Chris will touch on this later, but their new liquid cooling container is able to moderate the temperature at a better rate, and it looks from the specs that they've increased the expected cycle count. I'll let Chris break the news there on that later on. But that is important because that goes into the lifetime of the product. It fits into the payback. If we're doing a 10-year lease, we have to be comfortable that the product will last 10 years. I mentioned the financing. So we are, and we do see that 6,000 cycles is about 16 years of once per day. And then the efficiency as well, we are seeing above 98% on the TC efficiency. So that really helps. That saves the energy. So we are happy with all 4 of these items on the right, the pricing, the years that we've seen, the actual data that we've collected from our systems is lasting to the degradation that we expect. And that's on-site support. That's easy as, you get an alarm from a battery rack, we reach out, Chris gives us an answer, we're in touch. Sometimes it's just, hey, we see this, is this normal? And yes, that's expected. And we get a lot of support from Chris on batteries. It is a new technology to clients and to our team, so we do still have questions, and we are getting the support that we need from Pylontech on it. Good. So a couple sample projects here. This is a off-grid project completely. It is at it's a client called Finch Hattons. They are a very beautiful game lodge in Savo West National Park. So if anyone's visiting Kenya, please recommended to go there. But what's interesting, we've done a number of these projects that are completely off-grid, and they offset a lot of diesel generators. So as far as the green credits from this one, this was a very large, impactful project. They used to be 100% diesel generator. Now they're about 12% diesel generator. That 12% is necessary when there's 3 weeks of clouds in June. We can't size a system to be that large, but we did size this 220 kilowatt 432 kilowatt hour project. It's been up and running, I think more than 2 years now. It's doing very well. The carport picture here and the battery picture are from that project. It was actually a very functional design to give them that carport with the solar, and the batteries sit nicely in a room that is air conditioned. You can see here the racks. There's 5 racks. There's some modularity in the number of batteries per rack that allowed us to reach the desired size from our optimum sizing model. And yeah, this was a great project. Large savings for the client against diesel, and large savings for the green credits by replacing the diesel generator. Good. So this was another interesting one. So this is a tea factory. That's all the photos from this tea factory. That's a very remote rural location. And what happens at tea factories, Kenya's power is pretty good as far as outages, but the further you go from a substation, the more voltage drop you have and the more overloaded that the power lines can be. So what this tea factory regularly saw was low voltage at their and power outages that came along this very long overloaded distribution line. So they had a lot of power outages, and what the power outages would do is it would affect their production, and they would either increase the cost by running a diesel genset, or they might actually buy less tea the next day if they still had tea left to be produced. So the model for this tea factory is they buy from outgrowers. So they have about 10,000 farmers that they work with. They buy the tea from those 10,000 farmers. A farmer, you can actually see some of them in the background here in that photo. Each farmer's average family size of about 5 people. And if we see a 10% increase in production based on giving them batteries at this tea factory, that's a 10% increase to the livelihoods of 50,000 people. So I believe that the impact, the social impact, the environmental impact of doing these larger C&I projects, for any investors out there, for any debt or equity funders or people looking at energy access, the C&I solar plus battery solution is hugely impactful about bringing energy access to this tea factory, because this is one contract, this is one project, and they've had an incredible impact on the tea factory itself, having additional production. That extends to the farmers. This extends to Kenya. This company does exports. That's revenue coming into the country, and that is facilitated by this hardworking tea factory, but also a simple battery and solar project that you see here. It wasn't very big. It's about the same size as their transformer. It's smaller than the diesel generator, which is this white box in the background behind the batteries. And through this, we had a lot of impact. And this is the longest running one. So this has been 3 years of power stabilization, and the batteries here are still doing very well. One more example project. This is another off-grid luxury camp, very similar to what we said before, diesel gen set. There's actually 2 at this site. So they have one for the client side and one for the staff quarters. I think the main takeaway here is that we've done a number of systems with Pylontech. We've done a number of systems integrating solar plus storage. This has given our company experience. It's given us proof of concept that the system works, and it does save costs and reduce diesel generator, reduce grid, and allows people to continue running. So thank you for the intro to Ariya. As I believe this one is going to be introduced by Butime, correct?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your introduction from both sides. And it's clear that we are the loyal partners, and both of us already have the deep foundation and understanding and experience in the C&I product here. So what are the energy challenges that the East Africa is facing, and how can the energy storage solutions help us? So Eric, can you share some ideas about this?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, good evening in some places. So the theme here is C&I energy storage and how it can impact or increase output by about 30%. And in our region here, that is very key in East Africa. I'll speak particularly for Uganda. In Uganda, we have very good macro grid indicators. I mean, we have just commissioned a 600 megawatt plant, so our installed capacity is now above 2 gigawatts. Our grid is expanding continually. We have now over 2 million customers. So that is at the macro level, and everything is quite promising and quite progressive. On a micro level, if you zoom in into the distribution and transmission and utilization segments, that's where you find a need for a power stabilization battery energy storage system. We monitor our grid from transmission up to distribution level, 11 kilovolt power lines. This is the same as East Africa generally, but it is below this level where we do not monitor. This is after the grid transformer to the client that we find a lot of outages and need for backup. Just to give you context, in Uganda, we track our system average interruption frequency and index at a regulatory level. And averagely, a client on a Ugandan line will lose power at least for 1 day in a month, and he will be interrupted. The client will be interrupted every day of that month. So if you're running sensitive systems, if you're running, if you have sensitive equipment, then these statistics are not very easy to work with. Also, to compound is that the grids need heavy capex injection for expansion and mainly for operations and maintenance. Most of our grids struggle in this area. So if you are an industrialist or a commercial industrial client, it makes very good sense to hedge yourself from the risks of the grid. Our client, Gentex Enterprises, has done just that. We commissioned his system January of this year. He has registered 30% increase in production. His overall equipment effectiveness has improved. His system size is there for you to see, a 2.6 megawatt hour battery, as well as 2.6 megawatt peak solar. So this is our flagship product in Uganda, and we're hoping to roll it to the other clients. Thank you.
So it seems that this project is a big successful. So I think maybe the audience would like to know more details about this project. So Troy, can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Great. So if we go just back to the last slide, it's really small, but there's an example of the product that they sell. So right in the middle there, where you see the trucks loading, Gentex produces pipes and tanks, and the pipe roll is PVC or HDPE. It can be up to 400 meters long, and that tank, that's one of those black water tanks that we see. They use a blow mold process that can take, for the 10,000 liter tank, that can take about 45 minutes to make. So the main point in saying the length of the roll and the size of the tank is that there's quite a bit of time involved for this client when they produce the product. And that means that if any grid fluctuation happens in that 45 minutes, they lose that entire tank. So the issue is that they lose a lot of material and they lose a lot of production from that grid outage. And it's a fairly high value product as well. So when they have an extended grid outage, and we see this often, there can be maintenance on the line. They can see upwards of 8 hours of off grid. We did see up to 10.5 hours. This was our longest one, was a 10.5 hour power cut. And we kept them running with solar plus battery through that entire 10.5 hours. So a client that has a high value product, one that's difficult to make, sensitive equipment, they lose a lot of their production capacity, they lose a lot of revenue based on the provision of electricity to them. So What we did with solar and battery is we set it up in a way that when the power would cut, the factory can run seamlessly from the battery. So even if they're in the middle of a 400-meter run of HDPE piping, they would be able to finish that run and start the next one as well. We provide them information battery via a television screen inside their factory, and it gives them an estimate amount of time remaining. So if it takes for that 400 meters, if it takes 30 minutes, they can look at the screen and they can say, okay, we've got 45 minutes left, so let's start that roll. Let's make one more roll of pipe. Same thing with the tank. They know how long it takes to make a tank. They see if the sun is shining and they can start that tank. So they have had a lot of increase in their production by not only the battery being there, but the communication to the floor staff to be able to continue to run. One other thing, just even for clients that take less time to make a product, is then you get into machinery and that makes product at such a high pace that any type of transition from the grid to a genset can even affect their production. So typically what you would see is the grid would go out, they may wait 5 minutes for the grid to come back, then they fire up the genset. It takes 5 minutes to warm up, and then they put all the loads over to it. And once the loads are running, then they can start producing product again. That might take about 15 minutes. So you would have waste material and you'd have 15 minutes of downtime. So we then can come in with the battery, transition seamlessly over to the battery. The solar keeps filling the battery up so that you don't run out of battery throughout the day, and they continue their operation. I think I have everything here. Yeah, the use of that display screen at the bottom. What we found, I mean, just little specific things about the battery system is we oversize it a little bit, just about 10%. We do see that the batteries have to go from 0 to 100%, if you will, immediately. We've put in a little bit of a redundancy by increasing the battery size about 10%. So if it's a megawatt load, we try to bring at least 1.1 megawatt of battery. One other learning is that we've had is that over time we have chosen different models of batteries. So one learning is it's a lot easier for spares, maintenance, to choose a single product and use that on all of your sites. Again, this is the importance of having a reliable partner. So if it's a certain model of the battery, it is better if we have the same one, because then we can have the same set of spares with the same set of knowledge. And we, even if the voltage is the same at your battery inverter, then you can also use the same battery inverter in all of your products, all of your projects, which is also very important from a maintenance point of view, is to have very similar products out in the field as your team grows and you train more staff. They always like to come in and see the same thing at a different site.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So, except this, what the other C&I solutions can we offer? So, Chris, please tell us more about the solutions and the product, okay?
Yeah, sure. So we already see those projects, and most of them are indoor solutions, and the size is about from 500 kilowatt hour to the largest. We already see 2.6 megawatt hour. But apart from this, Pylontech also have more solutions than that. So we have the indoor solutions, the cabinet solutions, or container solutions, different size, for different customer demand. So apart from this, so for Pylontech, we provide all scenario solutions from 100 kilowatt hour up to 5 megawatt hour in a 20-feet container. And also for different sites, we have the voltage range from 300 volts to 1,500 volts for different model PCS. And also we support the air cooling or liquid cooling system to allow the long lifespan for the battery systems. And we also have strong compatibility with different model PCS or the hybrid inverter to build different type of systems. And for the warranty years, we can support up to 15 years warranty based on different sites. So first, I will go through our battery modules. So as you can see here, we have the M1C, M3, M5, and M7. So the size for each battery is becoming larger. So for M1C, it's a 4.7 kilowatt hour battery, and it supports the 1C charge or discharge. So this means a system built with M1C can provide a larger power during each cycle. And also here we can see the M3. So the capacity is 5.6 kilowatt hour, and it has a cooling fans inside the module, so it can support a continuously 1C charge or discharge. So if the customer they have a large demand on daily expense, so then they can use M3 as their choice. And for M5 and M7, M5 is the air cooling system. For one module, it's 15.68 kilowatt hour. And for these two kind of modules, for even larger system, so usually we will build a system more than 1 megawatt hour based on these two modules. For M7, it's a liquid cooling system, and for one module, it can provide 52.25 kilowatt hour. So here are just some example solutions based on the M7, M5, and M1. So based on for example, for the M7 series, the liquid cooling system, we can have the outdoor cabinet. The size will be about 216 or at 1000 voltage level or 417 kilowatt hour based on the 1500 volts platform. And we can also build a 20-feet container with 5 megawatts hour capacity. And for the M5 1C, we can have the container solution based on 1.6 megawatt hour or 3.3 megawatt hour. So one of them is with the PCS inside the container, and another one is without the PCS inside the container. And also for the air cooling ones, we have the M5 series. So it's a 300 kilowatt hour outdoor cabinet, or we can have a 10 feet, 20 feet container with 1 megawatt hour, 2 megawatt hour, or 2.9 megawatt hour without PCS. And for M1 series, usually we suggest the customer to build an outdoor cabinet. So it will be 95 kilowatt hour or 99 kilowatt hour based on the size of the cabinet. So here we can see the picture of the actual product. So for example, this one, the battery module used inside is M1C, and the power of it is 100 kilowatt hour, and the capacity is 104 kilowatt hour. So usually for this kind of solution is suitable for those small sites, and it's used a hybrid inverter to hang outside the cabinet, and it can easily put at any site. And the installation environment compared with the container solutions. And for this one solution, the PCS is put inside the container. Put inside the cabinet. So this one is more suitable for the customer who already have the PV and the PV inverter installed at the site. So for this one, we can use this cabinet to build an AC coupling system. And for this one, the battery module used inside is M5. So in the similar size cabinet, we can provide a larger capacity. So for example, for this one, the cabinet, we can provide up to 300 kilowatt hour inside. And for this one, the main difference is that the BMS used inside, the voltage level is different. So for this one, it can used with 1500 voltage level PCS. And start from this one, we will go to the liquid cooling part. So for this for this cabinet, we already integrate the PCS inside. So the PCS size is 125 kilowatt, and the battery size is 216 kilowatt hour. So this system is a 0.5C system and can support the grid level of 400 voltage AC. For this cabinet, it's a pure battery cabinet. So we have 8 liquid cooling battery modules inside. So the size of it will be 417 kilowatt hour. And now we already moved to the even larger size. So we start from the 1 megawatt hour and 500 kilowatt container. So it's a 10-feet container and 0.5C system, air cooling, and it's suitable for the customer who have the demand at this 1 megawatt hour level system. And for this one, it's also our standard solutions. We use the M5 battery modules inside. So the size of this container is 1 megawatt and 2 megawatt hour. So for this one, it's also a 20-feet container, but without the PCS inside. So for this kind of solution, we have 2.9 megawatt hour inside the container. And for the customer, you can choose the outdoor size of the PCS. Usually we use the outdoor size like 1.5 megawatt power to combine with this kind of solution. So for this part, this is currently the largest size we have. So it's a liquid cooling 20-feet container, and for it can provide 5 megawatt hour capacity. So for this size, it's usually for the backup, long-term backup, or for the grid service to do with this large system.
Okay. Okay, thank you for all sharings of our speakers. And now it's time to the question and answer that we focus on our audience right now. Yeah, if you have the questions, you can type it in the text or the communication about it. Let me find. Okay, here we see a question. Can you see this?
Yeah, I saw the some questions in the text part.
Yeah.
So usually we will need to have the STS, I mean, to have the seamless transition. So usually when the system power is below 1 megawatt hour, the switch time can be below 20 millisecond. So by this, we can have a seamless switch. And if the system power is larger than 2 megawatt, and the STS cannot do the seamless switch, but we can still get the transfer time within 200 milliseconds.
Okay.
And also the question from Guzman.
Yeah.
So the type of lithium ion battery, we use the LFP. So if you are talking about the battery, the battery size, we have the punch batteries for the small size systems, and we use the prismatic cells for the large scale solutions.
Okay, next.
Next, does Pylontech of financing? For us, like we act as only the device provider. So we cooperate with like Ariya Finergy to do the projects. Okay. Okay, I think for the next question, I think Bruce can answer that because the audience is asking
Sure.
for the distributor in East Africa.
So hello everyone, my name is Blue. Sorry, I didn't open my camera. So as you can see that Ariya is our official partner in the East Africa. So if you have any demands of the batteries, no matter the low voltage or the high voltage, you can contact Ariya and they will transfer your demands to us. Thank you.
Okay, we'll come to the next one.
Yeah, next one, how is the cooling down in large battery systems? So usually if we have an indoor project and we will suggest the customer or suggest the EPC to install the air conditioner inside the room. And if we're talking about the cabinet or container solution, we will also equip with the air cooling system inside. And of course, if we're talking about the liquid cooling system, the cooling system is also integrated in the container and it's still the like for each battery module, it have the cooling water tubes inside and to do the heat exchange.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think next question is about from Drake, and he asked
Yes.
how we carry out module level and rack
Rack
level
level.
calibration.
Yes.
So on this level, first, when we deliver the system to the customer, we already do the debugging and the commissioning, and we can make sure all the voltage level, all the module voltage level is the same. And during the system running, at the end of the charge progress and the discharge progress, the BMS will control the current inside during each circle and to let each rack have the same level of the SOC. And also by the end of the charge, for example, if one rack already reach 100% SOC, another rack is like 98% or 99%, then the charge current will only go to that rack and until all the racks reach 100%. And what's the voltage in case 29 module rack? Does BMS switch off the racks? At what voltage? So basically for the module rack, if we connect 29 modules, I will take an example for M3 because only M3 we can connect 29 modules in one rack and with the BMS. And the voltage level will be 1500. So let me do a quick solution. If we are talking about, it will be 30 volts March plus, so it will turn off at about 850 volts. So usually basically the total voltage will be 2.9 volts for each battery cell, and we can multiply the number of the cells to get the information of that. And actually, when the battery system is connected with the PCS, it will also report the suggested stop voltage to the PCS, and so the system will not get into the over discharge. And in case when we replace the module, so if the module have the problem, we can replace it and we can add a new module inside. Just make sure when the old module have the same voltage level, and then we can add it to the system. And after several times of circle, all the system will have the same, the capacity and level.
Yeah.
And next question is about the LFP. So, no, actually, for Pylontech, we focused on the LFP, and we currently we will not have the NCM solutions. And usually, the NCM is popular in the electricity cars because it can have a larger C rate, but the circle life is not as long as LFP.
Next is
any other technology? In the near future, actually for us, we are also working on the sodium batteries. The sodium batteries, they are from the price side, they are cheaper compared with lithium-ion batteries, and also the safety of it, because it's compared with the lithium-ion battery is more safe. But now the circle life of it and the energy density of it is not as good as lithium-ion battery. So for now, we are it's still in the starting phase, so we haven't have any product for that.
Okay, next.
What about higher voltage cutoff to avoid? Of course, you can set, in the PCS, you can set the value you want. You can set a higher DOD to prevent the over discharge. And for the overcharge, you can also set the highest charge SOC to like 95% or 98% to avoid overcharge. The next question is about the parallel of low voltage batteries.
Yes.
So if we are talking about the power side, if you connect all the batteries to the main to the bus, and they can be considered as one battery, but with a larger capacity. But for the communication side, you may need to check the communication between the battery to the inverter. I'm not sure which model of the inverter you are using, but if you already connect all the batteries to that inverter, you should be able to contact all the you should be able to find all the low voltage battery capacity in that. And about the slides, actually, of course, from Pylontech and Ariya Finergy side, you can get the information. These slides. And can storage, the next question, can storage solutions offer off-grid capacities with grid tidings? How different would be compared on storage? Yeah, of course. So for different, it's based on the customer demand. You can have the off-grid solutions or an on-grid solution. So if you are building an off-grid solution, so you only rely on the PV and the battery to provide the power to the whole system. So actually, from the working logic, there is no difference on the working logic. If you compare it with the on-grid storage, the only problem is that if the system do not have the PV, the supply for a long time, and so that means the battery cannot get any charge. So this might cause the battery to be over discharged. So usually for that kind of solutions, the customer usually also will choose the diesel generator as a backup for the PV.
Next is.
Yes, so when charging, it must reach 100%, sometimes working at 100%. Yes, like you can set the value to 95%, but anyway, actually we suggest you to set the 100% because only when the charge, when each circle is fully circled, then the battery cells can reach the same level, and it's good for the long time. To keep all the battery cells to balance. And actually, you do not to worry about overcharge, because when the SOC reach a high level, for example, 95%, the current of the system will be quite small. So this will not cause the system to be overcharged.
Okay. It seemed the last one. And then we also see that Troy is typing the answer by the text.
So I think there's a question here that came in from anonymous attendee, but can the storage solutions offer off-grid capabilities to a customer with captive C&I solar, which is grid-tied? And how different would it be compared to on-grid storage? So we use the same batteries for on-grid that we do for off-grid. Chris went over some slides. Some of the batteries were 0.5 C, some batteries are 1 C. We find that the 1 C ones work better for the on-grid, but both are totally acceptable and fine to use in both applications. But a captive solar project can be transitioned to a battery project. We're very good at that. So to the anonymous attendee, if you have a project available, we'd be really happy to look at an existing solar project. We can integrate to batteries, and it would be set up behind the battery, and it would work with the battery when the system was off grid. And you know, the off grid, on grid, once you do the transition is where you have to be very careful with how you lay out the topology to attain a seamless transition. For us, we do have a 0 millisecond transition for seamless. We also have a solution that is 10 or 100, depending on how you disconnect from the grid. But for the seamless one, we can do that. You have to be careful with the design layout, but you can convert an existing solar project and put it behind the battery. That's totally acceptable. So we're happy to work with you on that. And thanks for the question.
Okay. Now we come to the end of the webinars. Thanks for all speakers and our audience. Thank you for your participation. So if you are very interested about us, please contact us through all ways we share on the screen. And we're looking forward to much more cooperation in the future. Thank you so much.